disrupted.
America that I fought for.
Weird thing to happen. Hello, one and all. Welcome to this edition of Kitz Corner. It's been a fantastic day so far. So, take a look at this. This got tweeted out, or X posted, whatever you like to call. It says, Jewish human rights lawyer tells CNN that Israel is guilty of genocide. So, human rights lawyer, advocate for their organization, is calling out the homeland of the Jewish people for committing genocide. That they're conflating that people of Palestine and college campus students are apparently doing to the Jewish population. So, take a look at this. This is from the Freed Sakaria show on CNN. Take a look.
Aryeh Nair. He's a giant in the world of human rights and a survivor of genocide himself. He was born a Jew in Nazi Germany. He and his parents escaped Berlin 2 weeks before the start of World War II. He went on to study at Cornell and then to co-found Human Rights Watch. He was at the forefront of the movement to establish the international tribunals, which eventually became the ICC and the ICJ. He's also the former head of the ACLU and the author of many books. He wrote a powerful piece in the New York Review of Books this month on the situation in Gaza. When you say in this New York Review of Books piece that you have concluded that Israel is guilty of attempting genocide,
yes,
that's a very heavy charge.
yes. I was disturbed by some of the actions of Israel, by the use of very large weapons, 2,000-pound bombs, which are utterly inappropriate in a crowded urban area. A bomb like that can kill somebody 2 football fields away, and using bombs like that was inappropriate in the context of Gaza. But still,
I'm sorry, I'm thrown off by the use of inappropriate in a statement like that. You're talking about mass weaponry that's killing people by the thousands. It's inappropriate. I think we're far beyond inappropriate. It's not like the bombs came down and told an inappropriate joke in front of a minor. No, it slaughtered people. It mass murdered a huge population. We're far beyond the stretches of inappropriate or appropriate. Like, of course, it's a bomb. It's always going to be inappropriate. It's always going to mass murder people. It's just such a weird, I guess that's the academia or like the renowned saying, but that's such a weird turn of phrase to say. Like, a bomb is inappropriate to put at Gaza. You think? Wow. Yeah, killing people is actually kind of inappropriate. You know that?
I didn't think that Israel was engaged in genocide just because of the effort to retaliate against Hamas, even though I thought Israel went far overboard in the way of its retaliation.
So what changed your mind then?
What changed my mind was that over a period of time, Israel has obstructed the delivery of humanitarian assistance to Gaza. And those who have been most severely victimized are not the members of Hamas. Men with guns ordinarily find a way to get food and to get fed. But it is young children who are most severely damaged by malnutrition and who will either starve to death, or if they survive, they will be diminished for the rest of their lives, diminished physically and psychologically by the severe malnutrition they are enduring as children. And I thought that severe obstruction of the delivery of humanitarian assistance amounted to genocide. The amount of food and the amount of water and the amount of fuel they have allowed in is entirely inadequate to deal with the 2 million, more than 2 million people who live in Gaza. And the USAID Administrator, Samantha Power, testified before Congress that famine had set in Gaza. The head of the UN World Food Program has said that full-blown famine is underway in Gaza.
But RFK Jr. would say they're the most pampered people in the world. starving them. They're pampered. Like, come on, guys. You gotta protect the only democracy in the Middle East. Wonder why that is. The fact that we overthrew. Oh, let's not open that can of worms, because then that would actually describe the entire process of why Israel is a settlement and why it needs to be protected alongside with the United States. It's really a formation of a U.S. military base. That's the whole point of Israel. That's the whole point of the allyship. Because we strategically needed something, predominantly in the Middle East, to keep the eyes and ears afloat of all the other Middle Eastern territories, to keep them at bay. So that if we had to, take over countries or overthrow their democratically elected leadership or extract their resources, hey, we already got some sort of settlement here for the Jewish population. Let's just take that and then advance warfare in other countries that have nothing to do with us. And it's actually jeopardizing our security as a whole.
Destroying the farms, destroying the greenhouses in Gaza, killing a large number of aid workers who were involved in the distribution of food, challenging the ability of the UN agency that has been principally involved in distributing food to continue that activity, and persuading the United States and other governments to cut off funds from that agency. All those things have had a cumulative impact on the availability of food and water and electricity and medical supplies in Gaza. At this moment, there are settlers in the West Bank area who are interrupting trucks taking humanitarian assistance into to Gaza. They are attacking the truck driver, spilling the contents of trucks carrying humanitarian aid. The Israeli defense forces have not intervened in order to prevent the settlers from engaging in sabotage of that sort in delivering humanitarian assistance. The Israeli defense forces have aided the settlers, and a very large number of Palestinians in the West Bank have been killed in the past few months, often with the Israel defense forces either standing by or directly participating in attacks on Palestinians in that area.
Prime Minister Netanyahu says that this prosecutor is anti-Semitic and is feeding anti-Semitism.
The use of the term anti-Semitism to attack those who criticize Israeli policies degrades the concept of anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism has been a great scourge, but it doesn't insulate the Israeli government from being held to the same standards that other governments have to be held to around the world.
And in all due context, if we're actually going to have a serious conversation on the terms of being anti-Semitic and the actions of anti-Semitism, what we're doing now to Palestinians who are Semites is a form of anti-Semitism. The fact that we are silencing Jewish voices for peace, the fact that we're eradicating the Jewish faith and trying to cultivate that with Zionism, which is the evil cult that's diminishing Judaism, is anti-Semitic. And the fact that the United States and other allied nations who have spent years cultivating mass criminals of the Nazi reign back in 1940s Germany, look up Operation Paperclip, you'll understand it. We showed 60 Minutes how in Canada, we've harbored a bunch of Nazi criminals, gave them citizenship, allowed them to work with our technology, our advanced affairs, our institutions here in this country. And then we have the audacity to say that, after all that time, after we brought a Nazi to Parliament and applied them not once, but twice, a Nazi, we applauded twice in Parliament. Now we have the audacity to say we're cracking down on anti-Semitism and helping Jewish people. Just to put it into context. So when Benjamin Netanyahu is saying that him being prosecuted or him being accountable for his actions is a form of anti-Semitism, which, by the way, for those who are following along and paying attention, and we'll probably do a video on this shortly, Benjamin Netanyahu isn't actually Middle Eastern. Surprise. It's not even his real name. He actually is a former member in Poland, a European who became a member of the Israeli parliament because Assad and the agencies that were elevating Israel as the settlement nation were trying to advance them so democratically. And now the people in Israel are protesting against their own government, knowing that he is the war criminal. But he's trying to cover his tracks and saying, well, no, you caught me. That's a form of anti-Semitism. Which is, again, the boy that cried wolf syndrome. Because the amount of times that they use that trope to deflect from actual accountability, the worse that term is actually going to get. And it's not actually used for the derivative, that the whole intention of it. And they're trying to keep using it, saying it's anti-Semitic to criticize Israel. It's anti-Semitic to call out against genocide. It's anti-Semitic to support Palestinians. It's anti-Semitic if you question the companies and their support. It's anti-Semitic if you call out the colleges and universities that advance money to these companies. It's anti-Semitic for everything if you're not 100% on board with the genocide of innocent civilians of Palestine and further on, because there's no stopping them. They're already going into Rafah. They're going into Lebanon. They're going into other territories. This is far beyond defending against Hamas. This has gone far beyond October 7th. This is something that they have planned and preempted since 1948. Since the original Nakba. They have wanted a situation like October 7th to play out so they can advance a full-out invasion of all these territories and then blame it on attack of Jewish people. It's the boy that cried wolf, and Benjamin Netanyahu, Mr. Babysitter, who is the foremost of the intelligence services apparatus bringing him to power, is using it as a deflect so he won't be held accountable by the international court. A bit more of this.
The Israeli government has been very comfortable with certain anti-Semites. Prime Minister Netanyahu, for example, has cultivated a relationship with Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, and I think it's appropriate to consider Orban an anti-Semite. But to charge the International Criminal Court with anti-Semitism is, I think, absurd.
For you, as somebody, a Jew who escaped Nazi Germany, it's a weighty charge to accuse Israel of genocide.
It's a terrible thing to accuse anyone of genocide, but it's a more terrible thing that genocide should take place. In my view, Jews are only going to be safe if everyone's rights are respected, and the rights of Jews are respected along with the rights of everyone else.
And he is one of those Jewish people that will get silenced out by a Zionist, defamed as a Jewish person. And again, that would be considered anti-Semitic. I consider that a form of hatred of Jewish people, because there are many, many practicing Jews, or I'm blanking on the top of the tongue of what the biblical name of it is, but the original Jews, if you will, that are calling this out, saying that the state of Israel should not exist, that Jewish people should live among the people of Christians and Catholics and Muslims and Arabs and all sorts of people alike. We lived in harmony before. Why can't we just continue on that destination without going through these tropes of furthering dividing the cause? And they get, thrown out and silenced and, eradicated by the Zionist cults that just wants to completely annihilate the Palestinian region so they can dominate over that territory and reign victorious and be the dominant proclaimed faith of this landmass. And there's no stopping just Palestine. They want to continue further it on. And there's also geopolitical reasons to this. I mean, there's, as reported by RT, there is natural gas. There's natural gas and oil reserves in Palestine that large corporations want to get involved to this. So of course they're going to be preaching for this genocide. There's trading that goes along. They want to, take part of the canal that goes the trades through Middle Eastern territories. They want to build another canal through another territory and completely eradicate off of Palestine. There's that to look into that. So there's so many things that the whole intention of having this genocide that has nothing to do with defending people. And it's actually worse for everybody involved, including Israelis and Jewish people, that they continue on this genocide. And that's why people are calling this out vigorously and calling politicians directly because of this. Because the further they go along with this and the further they advance this warfare, much like any other warfare, it's going to end in horrific, worse scenarios than could imagine. And to put into perspective here, here's just a list of how far along we're getting into impact of World War III. So it says the United States of Israel is trying to start World War III by escalating the proxy war in Ukraine, which is still happening to this day, unbelievable destruction in Gaza, bombing Lebanon, Syria, including Iranian embassy in Syria. So they're further doing destruction outside of Palestine that no one's really holding accountable. Nobody's really paying attention to, because those territories are already places where we're trying to invade for how many years? Trump even said that in Syria that, we're guarding the oil, and they didn't want people to know about that. We're doing it for humanitarian. No. We're there for the oil. We're there for the natural resources. Come on. Really think we give a damn about anybody? So that's continuing on. We're also advancing civil war in Haiti. I know that's not on this list, but I just want to add that on there. We just built, I think, 4 or 5 new military bases in the Philippines and other territories that we didn't need to have military bases on, but we're just going to do it anyway, because why not? And we're also provoking China by influencing Taiwan to attack China, even though they didn't want a war to come out. Taiwan does not want to advance warfare in China. China doesn't want to go to warfare. They want to, continue on this economy. But here in the Western Hemisphere, since we can't do shit, to quote the words of George Carlin, to paraphrase him, we can't build a VCR or a car or do anything for ourselves. Why not just advance more warfare? Our empire is already crumbling as is. Why don't we just extend militarily and just destroy the rest of humanity as we crumble within? Whereas us that are living in the Western Hemisphere don't want this to continue on. It's calling out these disastrous foreign affairs and need to focus and regain the focus back into protecting ourselves, defending our economy and our resources and our situations here in our state, in our nations, and advancing our society and flourishing our people for the greater good. We are not doing that. And if you've read historically about the empires back in the heyday, the Roman Empire and how the French Revolution came around, it's getting to that point. It's getting to that point. Because the peasants are angry. We are getting further and further down the decline. And while they're trying to push for enemy fire in territories that have nothing to do with us and trying to take control of the rest of the world, we are deliberately in a downfall, and we need to save ourselves before it goes all to shit. Before we end up in nuclear, World War III, catastrophic devastation, or far worse than that. Which I can't even think of far worse than nuclear devastation. So, I'm glad that a human rights advocate and a lawyer who grew up Jewish is calling this out. And there's a lot more of those people out there. You just don't hear about it because, again, the Zionist cult has demonized the Jewish faith and taken over, which no one's calling that anti-Semitic. I wonder why. This is brought to you by Ground News, the versatile news app and website that gathers all the world's media on one place and allows users to compare coverage. Ground News gives you the access of thousands of sources worldwide, allows you to see the media blind spots, and even gives analysis on the bias and factuality of those stories. Weave your way through the mainstream narratives, the corporate lies, and have total access to find complete information that you deserve. Click on the link below and get 15% off a subscription. Be critical, be informed, be ground.